681, whoo, time to make us some strokes. 681, 3 220-foot shots, easy. Woo, from downtown, who cares about going OB? That's a 4, mark it down. Wow, that looks stressful. 4 for me too, please. Hey, I got your putter while you fish your disc out of the water. What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here, and we are back with part 2 of our Upshots series. Because let's be honest, we've all had that moment with a simple upshot standing between us and a great result on the hole. The nerves get to us and we throw it way worse than we intended to, and we're just left suffering in that moment. Those moments not only hurt then, but they can destroy our confidence when we're trying to score in future rounds as well. One of the best parts about improving at Upshots is that it doesn't just help you on long courses, but when you play shorter courses and you step up to those 250 or shorter holes, you can apply some of the same principles we're going to talk about today so that you don't just have a great upshot game, but you start to have a great tee shot game as well. I'm pumped to have Mike Strauss with us once again today, but before we dive in, we've got 2 important things we need to discuss. As I mentioned, this is part 2 of this series, and part 1 is going to be linked right here, so feel free to open that in a new tab and get ready to watch it afterwards, because a lot of the principles from that video are going to apply even for these longer distance upshots. Critical piece of Mike's teaching strategy that we've gone over before on the channel, and that is the train tracks. The train tracks are 2 imaginary lines on the ground that our feet stay on to keep our momentum moving in the right direction so that we don't have to worry about necessarily aiming the disc, because simply putting ourselves on the right tracks is going to keep the disc moving in the right direction pretty much every time. So if you get nothing else from this video, take some sticks or some spray paint, lay out some train tracks for yourself, and just see how much your game improves simply by moving your feet along those lines. Hashtag train tracks for life. All right, we're on the same page. Let's get the silliness out of the way. I'm just playing with you. We're always pretty silly here. When it comes to longer distance upshots, there's really 3 stages of power that we're looking for, and Mike's gonna break down each and every one of them. Key thing to remember though is that the distance thresholds for each of these is pretty subjective, and moving between them should add about 20 to 30 feet of power and comfort for you. So just because Mike's using them at a certain distance, and just to warn you, even with a neck injury, he's still gonna make it look incredibly easy. Anyways, just because he's using them at a certain distance doesn't mean that you need to use them at the exact same distances. It's all about feeling out what works comfortably for you so that you can get the results you're looking for out there on the course. Speaking of getting results, I'm gonna get out of the way and let Mike break down our first stage of distance upshots, and that is the no step.
So for me, 125 feet or so is still well within my no step. If yours at this point needs to be a 1 step or a walking 4 step, stay with it. It will progress on its own as long as you keep doing the work and grinding this into your muscle memory. At 60 feet, I was kind of just right up here. Didn't have much of a backswing. From here, I'm gonna move back just a little bit. All the other mechanics stay exactly the same, but I'm gonna put a little bit more speed on it in the hit zone, and you'll see a little bit more follow through, but it's very subtle, but all the mechanics are the same. I line my hips up. Shoulders and hips are at the target. My feet are staggered. We're on the railroad tracks. My hips and my shoulders are lined up. I move to that right shoulder fold, and I shift my weight, and I open up, right? So that's what's gonna happen. So this is 125 feet. Right here is all I need. Put it in. You notice how soft it's landing. The back-loaded grip versus the front-loaded gives me a ratio differential. What I mean by that is I have probably 2 or 3 to 1 spin versus speed. Front-loaded slings it forward. I'm more of a 1 to 1. I don't want that. I want this thing to settle and stick right around the basket. Have it up here. I'm gonna pull through, pop through the fingers, get it one time. Off the basket. Once I get to here, I feel my fingers pull through and snap open. It does not happen at the end of the stroke. It still happens through here and then a follow through.
I tried to warn you. Told you he makes it look really easy, even as an Innova sponsored channel. Those Lunas are looking pretty yummy. Any Luna lovers out there? Let me know in the comments below. One of the most important things about learning the no step is how often you can actually use that shot while you're out there on the course. Whether you have really poor footing, a tree's in your way, or the tee pad's kind of slick, being able to throw a comfortable no step shot is incredibly useful when you're out there on the course. And the more you play, the more often you're gonna find yourself needing that shot. But sometimes we need a little more power than that, and in in those moments, we move to the one step.
I'm gonna show you the difference between a no step and a one step. One other thing I wanna reiterate, I'm aiming with my shoulder. When I release and I open this up, my right shoulder is right here is aimed at the basket. I'm not quite as high up, right? Because the shorter the shot, the more the wrist is above the elbow. As the shot becomes longer, the more this starts to come down. I still wanna add power more so to the wrist and to the hand versus the forearm and the elbow, but I'm starting to distribute more of the power back into the big lever and the big hinge because the shot is longer. I'm gonna do the last one with a one step, with a stride. I'll start with the feet together and I will stride out. I wanna make sure that when I take this step, even though my feet right now in a no step are on the same rail, I'm gonna make sure I step out to this rail. As I do, I wanna make sure that my hips turn 45. Here's what I don't wanna do. I don't want to turn and then step. It puts me in a bad position, it will make me pull. My head is still there. Even when I'm here, I've only turned a little bit. So I'm stepping out. As I step, 45 land, come in and open up. All the other mechanics are the same. I'm not turning back to look at the disc. I don't need to be at this point because this is all way too powerful of a shot. Then I'm gonna hit through. So this one now I'm gonna throw a stride. You're gonna see that the overall shot's gonna be a hair slower. Step back. Buzz the tower. We were talking 60 and 100 feet. Everything was pretty seamless. Just line it up and throw the dart. As we get further out, the true throwing mechanics and more of those throwing mechanics come into play. Feet together, lined up. I'm gonna fold out. I'm gonna keep my head center between my feet. I am not just reaching out and leaning back. I step out and through. Now that one, as you noticed, get it. Instead of a true no step, instead of a true one step, I started with a baby stride. Mess with this, have fun with it. Try a no step, a one step, a half step, right? A little baby stride. There's not a right or wrong. Have that. You'll just kind of know. If you don't feel comfortable as a true static shot, which is no foot movement at all, take a little baby stride.
When we're doing a no step, there are two ways we add power to our throw. We either lower the hand a little bit or we accelerate a bit more to add that additional power without losing the control. However, bringing that step into play adds that power back. So with power coming from our legs and our hips, we can slow things down once again with our upper body, allowing us even more control from a greater distance. And with great power comes great responsibility. Well, I guess my responsibility is to hand it over to Mike as he closes things out with the final stage of distance upshots, and that is the walking four step.
Now, I'm gonna go into a walking four step on this one. And if you watch the train track videos, transition step, T-step, cross step, plant step. But I'm gonna do it subtly. I don't need a big run up. It will give me body momentum that adds some power to it. I'm just adding body momentum to the shot. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna stop here for a second because right here kind of looks like a one step, right? That's where everything happens. I don't turn before what I call the point of no return, the right going over, but that's for full throws and that will be for another episode. And here I'm gonna leave you with this. If you try to do, some people say, well, I'm just so used to taking these steps. And you do that from 120, 130 feet. What can happen is your brain goes, okay, don't throw too hard, don't throw too hard, there's too much power, and you could decelerate. When you get comfortable of just sitting here and throwing a dart, and you build on that, remember, the no step and the one step is the last part of the four steps. So have those in your arsenal. This will change your upshot game. Using the wrist, the back loaded grip, pulling with the fingers, you're throwing darts, it will shed strokes off of your score.
The hope of these videos isn't necessarily to give you more distance tomorrow. We want to make sure that you are lights out within the current distance that you already have. And when you refine those techniques, you know what you're going to gain? More distance. But I can promise you, if you can learn to park almost every shot you throw within 200 feet, you're going to start scoring better, no matter how far your current drives are. I want to thank Mike once again for coming on the channel, and I am stoked for the work we're going to continue to do in the upcoming months. So if you guys are thankful for Mike, show him some love in the comments and go check out his Instagram channel where he's going to post his full explanation for part 2 of this series. I just want to say thank you once again for coming by. It's an honor to be able to create content for each and every one of you and to try to help you improve any way that I can. I hope you have an amazing week, especially with one of my favorite holidays coming up, Halloween. So I want to know in the comments, what are you dressing up as for Halloween this year? For me, I had to go with something legit, something that was too legit to quit. Rod Kimball, stuntman extraordinaire. Denise, would you kindly clear the wheels? Hope you have an amazing week, but for now, I'm gonna leave you with the birdie.